Let me show you something. I read this article on Warhammer community with this amazing artwork of the new Agastus dreadnought. I think it looks good, so I will try to replicate this artwork on a miniature in today's video. Okay, so let's do this, but not with the new Agastus dreadnought miniature. That would be too straightforward. I don't really like the style of the new box though. Not only do the Desolator Space Marines look kind of over the top, but the dreadnought, in this pose at least, looks like he's on a relaxing walk through a park. So I'll use something completely different, which brings me to a collaboration with Ollie from the channel Hobby with Ollie. We have a challenge running where we kitbash and paint a miniature for each other. A little bit like Secret Santa, I don't know what I'm getting and neither does Ollie. Might kitbash videos out, so if you're interested, the link is in the description below. Let's now jump into the past and see what miniature I get to paint and transfer this artwork onto. Okay, we are in the past. I got the package from Ollie from London and let's see what I'm going to paint and open this package. Oh my god, it's a note! It's a note. Dear Toby, after many successful missions exploring space hulks, the Kroot have stumbled across the most devastating weapon yet. Open the package and then turn over this message. Kind regards, Ollie. It's a Kroot and a dreadnought. Yeah. This is amazing. Just look at it. He is like glued on a laser cannon. If this is like an autogun, this is amazing. Ollie, this is crazy. I don't know enough about dreadnoughts to know which kind of parts I used for kitbashing this, but with this piston on his legs, this is just amazing job, Ollie. This is really cool. Okay, let's turn over the message. Fear the Kroot, yeah. Also known as the dreadnought. Fits perfectly into my warband, it's just amazing. This really needs a good artwork to transfer some style onto this. And let's move into the future and see what I came up with. And here we are back in the present. Let's analyze the source artwork. We need to identify the base colors in addition to the colors we'll use for the Kroot pilot, which will be green. For this we'll go into the color picker and choose a fitting one. The head will be here and his hand here. The green fits the other colors and the highlight color will be this one. Overall, still a good composition. The midtone for the armor will be this dark blue and the highlight color should be this brightest spot. The light from below needs to be perfect. I think that's what makes this artwork so interesting. So we'll identify the glow on the armor first, which is magenta-like. Where the light is closer and has more warmth, we'll have an orange tone move to a yellowish tone. The brightest point has this color and will be the brightest spot later on the miniature. Before we paint, we need to take care of the base. The miniature is great, but the base is a little empty. I recently bought concrete paste from AK Interactive and now's the time to try it out. Let's apply it only on the front of the base and wait until it's dry. I have to say, I am super disappointed. Maybe I did something wrong, but this is underwhelming. I know this video should be about painting and now I spend time talking about this stuff, but the reason behind this is I don't recommend this, don't buy it. It looks nothing like the promise on the picture, even though I gave my best to create an even and flat surface. So what should I do with the base now? I scraped some of the parts of it off and I want the Kroot knot to be in an urban environment, so let's roll with that and rubble this up. I have some bits like beams, different sand grains as rocks and more sandy texture paste. That looks doable, time to prime the base. Now we are finally in a state to start painting. For this project we'll utilize a tool I bought last week. Yes, I got myself an airbrush. When I restarted my journey into the hobby, I actually wanted to wait at least a year and practice with a normal brush to increase my skills to a decent standard before buying this next level tool. 7 months in, what can I say, I just couldn't resist. But let me tell you this, just after a week I can only recommend it. It's super fun and painting speed is increased dramatically. This leads us to the base coat. The early identified dark blue will be represented with Vallejo dark Prussian blue and sprayed onto the armor plates. I try not to think about light and shadow too much at this point. In this first step I concentrate on an even coverage all around the kroot knot. After that is done, I give the front a second coat of the dark Prussian blue, so the next color will be lighter in this area and cover better. This gives the front a little bit more saturation and already mimics our artwork, at least a little bit. Time for the real deal, Vallejo dark blue. I apply it mostly on the front to brighten up the armor panels to match the color intensity of the artwork. For this, more directional light, the airbrush is a fantastic tool. I also spray from an elevated angle over the top of the kroot knot to reach some edges on the back. I'm quite pleased with the result. Let's park the airbrush for now and concentrate on some details before we start with the impact of the flames on the miniature. I overbrush the metallic parts like the piston legs, the guns and many of the edges of the armor parts. I'm quite rough here and dry brush most of the miniature. This already helps to establish the feel of a battle-worn, scratch-built kroot war machine. I also paint the beams on the base metallic. Next up, the classic kroot pouches in the front. After a dark brown as the base coat, I mix in a bright flesh tone to paint in stipple leather highlights. Let's take care of the bones as well. And I call this part done. Let's concentrate on the captain of this monstrosity. He kind of reminds me of someone in a similar pose. I would say let's call our pilot Arnold. Arnold will get another coat with the airbrush. White ink will help to establish a brighter base for the skin and a focal point for this more important part of the miniature. It's basically the face of the mini and the point to which an observer is immediately drawn. To give Arnold some color, I use Army Painter's Speed Paint Orc Flash. This really pops with the white undercoat. To establish more depth to the face, I used Nuln Oil to push things back. And that was a massive mistake. The speed paint from Army Painter didn't cure enough and the extreme thin layer of paint applied through the airbrush was ripped by the brush I used for the wash. Oh well, live and learn I guess. The speed paints from Army Painter can be very hard to work with. The little experiment with the face left its mark on the armor panels in the form of overspray. This can be quite hard to fix. It's difficult to mix the blues to consistency to match the spray tone from before. Time for some touch-up work of Arnold's ruined face. A darker green base and then some highlights. His eyes will be plain white. In the end I hope the flame color will reflect a little bit in the eyes when the airbrush spray reaches Arnold's face a bit. Okay, all details done. Time for the final pass of the airbrush. Let's concentrate on the colors in the front and from below. First, the dark magenta. I concentrate this on the armor panels because this color is only present where the red-orange glow meets the blue armor. Next, the orange-yellowish tone. This will hit less area than the glow. But oops, I think I went a little bit too strong with this color and ruined the nice glow effect from the magenta. Time to load the magenta back into the airbrush and concentrate on a nice transition of the glow to the orange-yellow. I also move the glow further to the top and create an insane OSL effect on Arnold's face. He looks a little bit crazy and that's exactly what we want. Looks nearly like the original. last up the brightest highlights with yellow. I concentrate this only on the lower edges and apply it with a brush to have more control. It's easy to go overboard with this, just look at this mini from a couple of days ago where I tested this kind of OSL effect with the airbrush. And I went completely crazy on the highlights. Sometimes too much is just too much. So on the kroot knot, I have to be careful to only highlight the close edges on the very bottom. With this step done, I paint some more details on the base rim, and call the almighty kroot knot done and painted.
Hasta la vista, baby.
What a fun project to paint. What do you think? Does this paint job match the glorious artwork? Again, thanks Ollie for this fun miniature to paint. I recommend you to watch Ollie's video next where he creates this kroot knot from scratch. You won't believe the challenges he faced to do that.